Okay, everybody, I'm back to give you another video, a teaching. Remember all the videos that I've talked to you about doctors and the practice of medicine, everything I've showed you about the rod of Asclepius and the rod of Caduceus, and everything I've showed you about the symbol of the World Health Organization. So as we move forward, I want to give you scripture. Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9. There is no new thing under the sun. What has been will be again. Now the bubonic plague occurred in 1346. The relevance to today is that the doctors, and remember, the symbol of doctors are the rod and the staff. Everything I've taught you about that with the serpents intertwined. The serpents, as God warned us about. This occurred in 1346. Another plague. Now the doctors that went to treat and deal with the sick people wore a crow's mask. Realize we're having to wear masks now. The relevance of it. And they used serpent's venom to treat this. Remember, there's no new thing under the sun. They used a serpent's venom to treat this. So the no new thing under the sun is they just didn't have the technology. This goes back to, this is the practice of medicine. This is why doctors practice medicine. So ultimately in 1800s, the hypodermic needle was used and created to imitate a serpent's tooth, how it injects its venom into tissue, into bodily tissue. Whereas a serpent's venom is actually only protein. It's only a serpent's protein, but the way it reacts to human tissue or any other tissue is the significance behind it. It breaks it down, it changes it. So you have the hypodermic needle that was implemented and created only after the bubonic plague in the 1300s. But it was attempted. Realize, and you can go back and do your own research, that the doctors wore a raven or crow's mask and treated the plague with a serpent venom. Then the hypodermic needle, with the practice of medicine as it evolved, so the snake's venom is actually protein. And as I've taught in my previous videos, how these vaccines and why we're getting these zoological plagues now, these zoological diseases, they had initially started mutating these so-called vaccines in bird eggs, which could go back to the raven or crow. But realize a snake's venom is actually protein, as I've stated. Snakes lay eggs. Vaccines are mutated in eggs. This is all well documented in Scripture. You have a very important part to this, which is MERS in the times we're living in. This was the first so-called coronavirus, one of a family of 4. This is the 4th coronavirus. MERS was the 1st in 2012 from crows, which is a raven in the family of a raven. There is your family name, and if you take out your significant letters, you find COVID. And this is what they've named it, COVID-19. Here's your scripture, Deuteronomy chapter 14. You can find the ravens, which is a crow, ravens and bats. It's all in there. So, with all this understood, you need to realize, and I'm going to leave you with this very important scripture. 1 John chapter 4, verse 1. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. But remember, Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9. And it's in many other passages. That's why it was repeated in many other passages in Scripture. What has been will be again. This is why there has been a practice of medicine. Understand, people, that the hypodermic needle had to be created. But not only that, understand, why do they inject the vaccines into your muscle tissue? This is what a snake injects its venom into its prey, into the muscle tissue, not the bloodstream so much, because our organs that God created can filter out the poisons. So every other medicine they'll put into our bloodstream or give us in pill form. But notice that the vaccine specifically, they want to give us in our muscle tissue just as a snake's venom does. So understand what's going on, people. We are in those times. Stay in the Word. God bless.